Welcome to Timeless Mysteries Live Edition. How's everyone doing tonight? I've got a special guest here today. I know we don't normally do these live streams on the weekdays, but I hope you guys will find this. We've got some pretty interesting stuff to talk about. I've got Andrew here from the Unforbidden Truth. Andrew, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you for having me on tonight. My name is Andrew. I host Unforbidden Truth podcast. I interview prisoners, survivors of violent crime, professionals in the mental health, forensics, and law enforcement field. Basically, long story short, how I got into this, my dad is a retired cop and detective. My late stepmom was a 911 dispatcher, and I've been basically immersed in true crime ever since I could really read, honestly. I mean, my dad retired when I would think I was like 2 or 3 years old, but my stepmom was a 911 dispatcher up until she passed away in 2022. So I've
I'm sorry to
basically
hear about
been
that.
Thank you. Yeah, so I've just been basically immersed in true crime ever since I was young, and I've just been fascinated with true crime and psychology ever since I was younger, and I've just been interviewing prisoners, since 2010, almost 16 years now. I've visited. I don't know, can I say, like, certain words, or do I have to use, like, the TikTok lingo?
If you can avoid self-unaliving, that word, I think is the big one. But I mean, these are adults watching this channel, so I mean, it's okay. I'm glad you asked, though. I just want to say hey to Maribel and Olga. Andrew and I were talking before we started, and I was like, I wanted to play some of this actual interview, but there's just too many. Like, it's just like, I mean, it's a really good interview. And the link to find it is in the description. But I think it's just there's too many f bombs. I'm afraid to share it. I don't want this video to get limited ads or anything. But
No, I get that, I
you
get that. Yeah, he swears a lot. He swears more than any other inmate that I can think of. It's F this, F that, and just like, dang, come on, Luis.
yeah. Well, I guess let's start off like, who is this guy? Well, actually, before that, how did you like get an interview with him to begin with? Like, how do you get in touch with these killers and actually get them to talk to you?
So, basically, I have a lot of, like, names either written down or names of people that I've always wanted to interview, right? And I'll basically just reach out to them. Like, the old way obviously was, like, writing letters, but nowadays they're basically scanning mail to cut down on contraband. So I basically email prisoners, like a JPay, Securus, Connect Network, IC Solutions, stuff like that. So I'll basically just reach out to them, introduce myself, and be like, hey, I have a podcast. I was curious if you'd be interested in, you know, telling me about your life, in an interview format. And I'd say like 85 to 90%, believe it or not, will say yes most of the time, and we don't have to talk about their crimes if they don't want to. Um, with Luis, I actually got introduced to him through another death row inmate in California, because I call it the honeypot. They're no longer at San Quentin anymore because they have a moratorium on the death penalty, and they're
Mhm.
like literally shipped. I think they've shipped everybody, like, all throughout California. I mean, they're at different prisons, like, you name it, they're there. So, there's I forget who it was, honestly, that introduced me to him, but he's like, "Hey, one of my homeboys is pretty high profile. He might wanna do an interview with you." And I'm like, "Okay, who is it?" And they're like, "Luis Bracamontes." And I'm like, "I've never heard of him." And I looked him up, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this case is really crazy." And I saw his videos of him laughing, smiling, clapping in court. I'm like, "This guy's out of his mind." I don't know if you've seen the videos of him throughout his trial,
Mm.
just clapping and laughing when the judge is talking. Like, this dude's out of his mind. And I did an interview with him. It was like 2.5, 3 hours. I cut a lot out. Well, not a lot. I cut quite a bit out of him, like a lot of F bombs. Like, I left some in, but I cut a lot out. And yeah, he's he's a really interesting guy. He's a really happy-go-lucky guy, which is kind of interesting considering, what he did. I mean, he went on a crime spree basically, and unalived 2 cops and through the process, and now he's doing a 2 death sentences, which will eventually probably be, they'll probably be commuted eventually to, like, life without the possibility of parole, because it seems like California is eventually gonna go down that route since they're shipping all these guys and gals, throughout the state of California to different prisons.
Yeah, that's the thing is with death row, like I'm like I like I don't know how I feel about it. Like I could see both sides of why to do it and not do it, and I don't know what I have. I've yet to kind of make up my mind on whether or not I'm pro. I think I'm pro death row as long as I don't have to be the one that makes the choice, basically. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I've always been anti-death penalty just because I know that there's a lot of innocent people on death row and innocent people that have been executed, and even if somebody's guilty, I mean, there's a lot of family members that I've spoke to that don't want the death penalty for the person that took away their loved one, which is kind of crazy, if you think about it. But I mean, it's, like kind of like an eye for an eye. I mean, I don't know, but it's I
hmm.
know a lot of people have their own opinions on it, and it's a very controversial subject. And I mean, nobody has the right to tell like a grieving family member, no, you can't have, vengeance or justice or whatever you want to call it for your loved one, because obviously, whatever makes them feel better at the end of the day. I mean, their loved one's not going to come back no matter what happens, unfortunately. So it's kind of a tough subject, really.
Yeah, I know that I talk on my channel a lot about the Chris Watts case, and the family of Chris's wife, said they wanted to take the death penalty off the table. They didn't want that. And the first time I heard it, I was like, well, that's weird. Why would they not want to do that? But then I guess you have to think about it like, if you made that decision and you push the courts to go for the death penalty, I mean, that's something you actually got to live with, um, that you kind of made that happen. I mean, obviously, the killer made it happen. Like they made the wrong choices. But I mean, if there's a choice on whether or not they pursue the death penalty or not, and you say, yeah, let's do it, that puts it a little bit on you. And I don't know if I could make that kind of decision. I mean, I think I would be angry and I wouldn't want it off the table. It's kind of like with the Idaho the Brian Koberger case. Some of the family wanted the death penalty and some of them didn't, and it kind of crazy. But Luis Baracamendes, how do you say his last name?
Luis Bracamontes, I believe that's how you say it.
Bracamontes. Yeah, that's right. So he basically murdered two police officers, and you guys, if you listen to this interview, this man, he is like, it's like listening to a movie. It's crazy how he tells a story, and I guess I'll let Andrew kind of explain what it was like talking to him. But I mean, as somebody who just listened to the interview, I wasn't asking the questions or anything. This guy tells this story like, it starts here, it goes here, it goes here. It's just like a story arc. And it's just hard to stop listening to it once you start hearing him talk. But I guess we should kind of explain a little bit about what happened. I'll let you go ahead and do that, Andrew.
Okay, yeah, so him and his wife at the time were basically going on a crime spree, right? Well, I should say, like, there was a few times he said that, in the interview, right, he was trying to provoke police officers before all these crimes took place. Like, he would speed, and he'd have, like, his gun out, like, just wanting to, I don't know, take the life of a police officer or anybody for that matter. And I mean, he's kind of crazy. Well, not kind of, he is crazy. And, um I believe it's been a while since I listened to it, 'cause I interview so many people, and I edit so much stuff during the week. But I believe, when it happened, right, he had something in the car, or it was either like, I don't know if you can say the word, but, like rugs or weapons or whatever. And he got pulled over, and, Well, no, actually, I take that back. He was carjacking people, right? He was going on a crime spree in California, in Northern California, and, throughout the process, like, he just happened to kill 2 police officers. Well, he said he carjacked one person, he took another car, he beat up one guy, and his wife was, like, going along with all of it. I think she's doing, like, 50 to life or something like that in prison, and, yeah, and I think he wounded a civilian, if I'm not mistaken, in the process, and, he yeah, it was basically just a crime spree gone wrong, and he wasn't a legal immigrant at the time. I don't know if you realize this or not, but when Trump was running, I believe the first time, I think it was the
Mhm.
first time, he used him in one of his ads, like, "This is like the Democrats let him in, and this is, what they're doing, blah, blah, blah," not to get political or anything, but he was used as one of those, like, I guess you can call it propaganda, like, campaigns, that,
Yeah.
like, illegal immigrants were coming in, and I asked him about that during the interview, and he thought it was funny or something like that, and he's a real interesting guy. Like, the interview should have been, like, an hour or less, but he just kept dropping the F-bomb and just kept,
Mhm.
kind of rambling. I'm sure you got that sense, right? He was just rambling about a lot of things, and
Well, there was, like, a few things that stood out to me from the story was, one, he was like, he was somewhere taking a he was peeing somewhere, and then he sees a cop slowly driving by, and he's like, still going to the bathroom, and he's like slowly pulling out his gun, getting ready to, like, you know, take care of whatever is about to happen. And then, that stood out to me. Um, I don't think that police officer actually stopped or talked to him or anything. But then the other part about his wife, that when he was going to kill her, like, he was like dragging her all over the place, and she was having these panic attacks. He was saying, and he would have to bring her back to life. I mean, it was just it's insane to hear about it, and it is drug induced. He is a meth user, or was. I
Mhm.
don't know if they get that in prison, but um, um, yeah. But I think the thing that haunts me the most after hearing that was the part about his wife, and I believe she had cheated on him, and he said something like, "Well, if you'd have told me about it before, none of this would have happened, but you didn't. I found out on my own, and now I'm gonna kill all your family, and then I'm gonna make you watch, and then kill you." And she's like turning blue, having panic attacks, and man, I mean, I don't know what it was like to hear this stuff like the first time, but I mean, were you thinking that he was making it up, or, making it, sound better than it was? Or do you think he actually sees himself like this?
I don't I mean, I guess a little bit of everything, honestly, because, I mean, I can never really tell with some of these guys. I mean, sometimes you can tell when they're just blowing smoke up your ass, and then sometimes you're like, "Well, maybe this happened, but maybe he's embellishing the truth," you know what I mean? But Luis is I don't know, I mean, he went into his prior criminal history. I mean, he had been deported quite a few times, and he went to prison, in, like, Arizona and a few different places, so he definitely comes from that criminal lifestyle, and he told me that he was from Sinaloa, I believe, and I've never asked him if he was actually a part of the cartel, but he's alluded to it a lot because he said that he did a lot of crime in Mexico, and he has a lot of violent, crimes that he's never been prosecuted for, and so we'll eventually get there, I'll eventually do another interview with him. It's just so hard because he's all over the place, and he is hopped up on drugs still. It's really easy to get them in prison, and he actually just got out of the hole for that, like a week and a half ago. He was in the hole for like a month or 2 months, and,
Dang,
just for getting caught with something,
that's crazy. Yeah, I don't know, like, I kind of want to play some of the I think I'm going to play some of it. I might have to edit it out if it gets limited ads, but maybe I should play just some random piece of it, just so you guys can hear what I'm talking about, and you guys, you can go through and actually listen to the whole thing. I think it's insane because when I listen to it, and I hear this story about a boy who's like seeing all these guys with money getting cars and girls, and he just wants to be like them. I could see how a child might get pulled into this just by circumstance, just by being born in the wrong place, too close to these people. I assumed that he was part of the cartel because the way he talked about, he saw the cartel doing this stuff and getting all this money. um Hey, Molly, I'm glad you're here. But yeah, give me a sec here. I'll pull up a clip. Well, I'll pull up the whole thing and then I'll just try to play it, some random part of it. Um, but just to warn you guys, there's a lot of profanity, and he does kind of get graphic. Um, Let me see. Sorry, guys. Um, just takes a minute. Right. All right, so that should, nope, it's not sharing yet. Hold on. There we go. So this is The Unforbidden Truth. Um, it's a podcast, and this interview is truly like hard to hear. Like when you when you think about a killer, the way this guy talks about his crimes, it's hard to comprehend how a person can be like this kind of person and be like that okay with the stuff he's talking about. And of course, it kind of makes me wonder if it was a lot, if he's kind of like, you know, it was, 10% of what really happened, or, 10% of it's actually true. I mean, there's no real way of knowing for sure. So I'm just going to randomly pick a spot and play it.
In my fucking in the and fucking and
You guys
and
can
the
hear that?
fucking one we were fucking arguing, and then she fucking saw this cat because I fucking had told her before, look, I'm gonna fucking kill some cops, and I'm gonna fucking take the fucking guns and shit, the fucking police vest and shit, and I'm gonna fucking take that shit with me. And then she fucking saw these cops, but the reason she was doing this shit because she was trying to get away.
Olga, did you laugh because of his voice? You think of this scary guy, you don't think of I don't know. He's got a kind of high timbre there for I don't know. He doesn't sound like what I expected either, but I think he's talking about his wife and how he was going to kill her at this point.
Away from me. She knew that like I was gonna fucking kill. I was fucking planning to kill her and shit. So she fucking say, "Look, this fucking cops right there. Didn't you tell me that you were fucking to do that shit?" And I fucking told her, "Yeah, I fucking told you, but like I'm not gonna fucking do that shit. I don't need to go there fucking look for them. They're gonna come look for me." And then that's like, it was like I was fucking having the fucking feeling that something is gonna have fucking happen and shit. That was that fucking day before. The day before the fucking cop showed up in the fucking motel and shit. So fucking after that we went to fucking a restaurant, we eat, and then we went to fucking we started fucking keep fucking driving and shit. And then got a fucking into the fucking night. It went to we're fucking night and shit. We're fucking driving. There was a lot of cops in the street. So we saw this fucking Motel 6, and then fucking we say, oh fucking let's go over there and fucking stay for fucking one night over there in the fucking Motel 6. But like I didn't fucking like I was fucking like thinking like, man, I had a fucking bad feeling and shit because of
I'm gonna skip ahead.
right here. So I had it right here, my lap, and then as soon as fucking the cop show up in my window, I didn't fucking put the fucking window down and nothing. So I just fucking pulled the fucking trigger and then shot it in the forehead and shit, right between his two eyes.
I mean, it's crazy. It's like that the entire time. He tells this story, and it's just crazy. That, I mean, even if a tenth of it is true, it's crazy. I suspect that it's probably there's more stuff than just that. You know, it just blows my mind that he can talk about it like that. And I don't know. Did you guys watch my little trailer that I made for this? Let me see if I can pull that up real quick too, and just share the tail end of it, because you could see how he laughs. So this was the teaser that I. It's not the best video I ever made. Oh, did it not share? Hold on. Where'd it go? Ah, there it is. Ah, it's the wrong page. Oh, sorry guys. It didn't play, did it?
Another, and then laughed about it in court while families wept.
There it goes.
Luis Bracamontes.
Yeah, I made this on my phone in like 5 or 10 minutes. I try to make it better. But he laughed in court, you know, not like that, but you know, he did definitely laugh whenever they give him the death sentence. He was sentenced to death, and he just laughs about it like he doesn't care. And I was curious, you know, was this like something he's like telling to his, like, I mean, did he do that for like some sort of show to like show everyone that, you know, he's still, you know, he doesn't care. I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. So what stood out to you, Andrew, when you're talking to this guy?
Well, what stood out to me the most is, I don't know if you remember this part, but during the interview when he was gonna let them, you know, kill him, and then he said he like prayed to God, and then because he said he was religious, and then he said he was forgiven, then he said he felt like a big weight, you know, come off his chest, and then that's when he just, you know, like gave up after they were shooting, you know, gas grenades or whatever in there. That's what stood out to me the most, because most people like him, like he would just go out with a bang. I mean, after killing 2 cops, you wouldn't think that, you know, you were gonna be taken alive. I mean, obviously, you're never gonna get out of prison. You're more than likely gonna get the death penalty or die in prison one way or another, and that's what stood out to me the most, other than the fact that he just was, you know, crazy the entire time. You know, like you said, dropping F-bombs every, like, 4 or 5 words, honestly. I cut out a lot, and I tried to cut out some, and it just it didn't really flow right, so that's why I had to keep so many in.
Yeah, I mean,
Um
I don't think you could cut them out. Like if you beeped it out, even that would take hours just to go through and like cover it up with the beep, and then you wouldn't hear anything. Um, you know, I just it gives me chills when I hear him talk about how he shot the guy, and then you know he says I shot him in the forehead, and then you know he runs over the body and the guts were everywhere,
Yep.
and he's like, I wish I killed more. I mean, who says that? Like, I guess if you're caught and they saw, I mean, I don't know what he's thinking. I mean, obviously he said he was on drugs. He bought meth. He was using meth. And, that drug will make you crazy. I mean, even if you already like a little bit crazy, it just like pushes you even further from normal when you use those kinds of drugs. There was a part that I can't remember exactly. There was a girl that maybe it was his niece. He talked about his niece, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I believe it was his brother that he was talking about, right? That had an affair with his wife, if I'm not mistaken, and he said he was gonna kill him, and then he he saw the niece and how much she and because I think it was her dad, right? And how much she loved him
Mhm.
and whatever, and he's like, "Oh, like, I was gonna do it, but then I realized that she would have been upset at me or something like that, and I didn't kill him," and so that's
Mhm.
I guess you can see a little bit of humanity in him at that point in time. I mean, he's a he's a character for sure. He's one of the more, um, unstable guys I've, like, ever interviewed, probably, like, top 5, believe it or not. I mean, because a lot of them are pretty, um, I wouldn't say, like, calm, but a lot of them are know how to talk, and aren't really, like, all over the place like he was, but he just was, all over the place. Of course, he told me that he was up for a few days before we did the interview, so I imagine he was on something, at the time.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, what I remember from that particular part was, that he was gonna kill him, but then he thought about her, and he loved her, and she was gonna be sad, so I couldn't do it. I couldn't kill him. And, I mean, it's weird that he thinks about stuff like that, and, he talks about, what is the name of that town?
Sinaloa? Yeah, Sinaloa. I believe
Sinaloa?
that's where El Chapo's from, if I'm not mistaken, where his
Mhm.
cartel operates. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
Sinaloa cartel, yeah, that's where they operate.
Yeah, he talks about, poverty, how poor he was. He started working when he was 7, and then, um, you know, his presentation of himself kind of reveals a lot about how he thinks. And, I'm just really curious how, like, I don't know, it's like he's got like this, I guess, skewed sense of morality, because I'm like, because we just talked about it a second ago where he's like, I couldn't kill him because of this reason. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Um, he's got like the society, if he was in the cartel or is in the cartel, I guess we don't know for sure, but I mean, it seems like that world has its own rules, its own like normals and everything, and it just blows my mind. It's like everything I've ever thought about the movies about, organized crime is kind of true when you hear this guy talk. At least that's my first thoughts. Um, but the I guess when he's talking about the poverty, he's working. He's 7 years old. He's not getting very much money. He had a violent childhood, I guess, and uh, he couldn't get girls. He
Mm.
wanted to have girls. He couldn't get them, but he uh, he saw these cartel guys with their money and their cars, and he saw that that's what they wanted, and somehow he made it happen, I guess. But he never said he actually was in the cartel.
No, he's never actually said that he was a part of the cartel, but he was affiliated with some, so either it was kinda like maybe it was like a how, like, you're not Italian, but you're part of the mafia, like, you're an associate type of thing, like, we're eventually gonna
Mhm.
get to it, like, he called me a few days ago, and I missed his call, and he's been emailing me like crazy to pick up the phone, so I'm gonna see if we can't do another interview and have him kind of tone down the the cussing a little bit if he can, but yeah, there's so much more I wanna talk to him about, and I'm reaching out to his wife, in a few days too, because 'cause she's been on my list of people to write for the longest time. I just have so many people I prioritize over other people, but now that I've spoke to him for like 2 years, 3 years, I wanna see if she, 1, speaks English, and 2, if she's even willing to talk to me.
Yeah. So I guess I kind of missed that part about it was his brother who slept with his wife, and this is the same wife that's in prison now, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think she's doing either 50 years flat or 50 to life, yeah.
I can't believe like I just can't process it. Like how do you get with somebody who's a criminal like that? I guess if you're a criminal, maybe it makes sense, but what I remember is the way, he's talking about how he had to pour water on her face and call 911 because she got passing out because she knew he was going to kill her. Like how could you be with somebody that could potentially kill you? And it sounds like maybe she could have killed him too at some point.
Right, well, it might
And
have been like a domestic violence type of thing. I mean, obviously, some of them are so scared to leave, sometimes they feel like they're gonna kill their family or kill them if they leave, and it does happen sometimes, obviously, like, DV rates are through the roof right now too.
Yeah, that is true. But I mean, this was just different because of the fact that he said he knew she knew that he was going to kill her and kill all of her family. And it was actually causing panic attacks. And like, that's crazy to me. Like, I don't think she would have been able to leave then, but at some point, when this murder didn't happen, they started committing crimes together, is that right? Like,
Right, right, yeah, they were carjacking people and
so they got through that, those panic attacks and then decided to go out and do more crime together this time. That that's crazy.
yeah, I'm hoping she's receptive so I can ask her all these questions because I'm curious, why did she stay? Like, why didn't she run away when he was carjacking these people? I mean, I'm sure she's gonna say she was either afraid or she was like an unwilling victim or something like that, who knows?
Yeah, Maribel says maybe she feels safer in prison. I would kind of agree. I think it might actually be safer in prison.
Yeah, I would
Um,
I would think so.
so what kind of questions do you guys have? Um, I'm trying to look through my notes and see if I got any good questions. Like I had all these ideas that I wanted to talk about, but it's just weird that it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense to actually say some of these things. Let me see. So he talked about destiny a lot throughout the interview, right?
Right.
What do you think? Do you think that like makes it so that it kind of gives him a way to like take it off of himself and blame the universe for everything that he did, or it just seemed a little odd that he's like this is all happening because it's supposed to happen. He's supposed to be killing these people. um
Well, I've met a lot of inmates, mostly like serial offenders and mass offenders, right? Who believe they were put on this planet to just kill people, like to create havoc, which is kind of interesting, right? Because I mean, we're all innocent at one point in time. Babies can't hurt anybody, obviously, but I think he just thinks that he was destined to be a gang member, like a drug dealer in the cartel, just to kill people and wreak havoc. Which I don't really, it doesn't really make sense. I mean, he was like you said, he came from poverty, so maybe he thought it was his destiny to provide for his family in the worst way possible, which was, hurting people and doing, wrong unto the world. I mean, I really don't know. I've asked him a few times why he thinks, he had to do what he did, and he says what everybody else does, that is gangbangers or part of the cartel. Like, I was poor, I was trying to provide for my family. What else was I supposed to do? Working 9 to 5? And I'm like, well, yeah, you were in America. I mean, you could have worked a 9 to 5 and sent money home or whatever. But it just, I don't know. I guess that wasn't an option for him for whatever reason, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't justify committing a crime even for like a lot of money. I don't know how people could do it and just still barely get by even, I don't think, whenever you see drug dealers on TV, they usually live in some kind of like, crappy house
Yeah, trap
uh
houses. Yeah,
with all their like little druggy buddies hanging out playing video games, and that doesn't sound like a good life to me. I wouldn't risk prison for that. um but you mentioned you talk to other people on death row. What um what makes Lewis different?
By the way, Olga, he's been on death row since 2018, so about 7 years now, almost 8 years. Um, I wouldn't say anything really makes him different, other than the fact that, I mean, it's really rare, or I shouldn't say it's rare. It's not rare, but I don't really find many people that are on death row for killing police officers, let alone two in the same day. You know, I mean, it's
Mhm.
mostly men, women, and children. I guess that'd be like the only thing that really separates him, and the fact that he. I mean, I don't really find many people that were here illegally that have killed many people. That, I mean, I know it happens a lot, you know, but that's really the only things that really make him different from other people, I guess I would say, you know. But as I know some people that I talk to are like he's a dime a dozen type of thing, you know, but not really in the sense. You know, but that, yeah, I'd say that's what makes him different more than anything. Like I mostly talk to like serial killers, mass murderers, spree killers, stuff like that. But I occasionally talk to people that kill like one, two, three people. Like my phone's ringing all the time from like Lorenzo Fain, D'Angelo Martin, all these people that have killed like 5, 6, 7 people, and we just and we talk about like normal things. It's not just like their crimes 24/7. You know, like they want to know like what's going on in the world. You know, like what what's going on in my life. Like they want pictures of the outside world. Like I go to the beach a lot or go hiking a lot, and they'll just want to see what the outside world is. 'Cause some of these guys have been in prison for like 20, 30, 40 plus, you know, years, and which is kind of crazy to think about. Like one guy, Lorenzo Fain's been in prison since he was like 22, 23. Now he's like a 50 something year old man, which is kind of crazy to think about, that he's never getting out of prison, and he's, you know, just basically living through me type of thing, you know, because I'm the only person that really speaks to him.
Yeah. Something that kind of I don't know, what makes this guy think that, like it seems like he shot the police officers, and it's like what kind of cultural scripts make that, shooting cops in the face, um not just like possible, but he talks about it like he thinks like people are gonna admire him for it somehow. It's got to be like he's telling the story maybe for his you know organized crime friends. I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of a good way to say it. It's just like when he talks about it, it's like he would have done it. He did do it. He could do it more. And it's actually, he's talking about like he is better than other people. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, in the organized crime realm, more so the cartel, they own police officers. You know, like in Mexico, the police officers work for them. They tell them, you know, what's going on with other rival cartel members, what's going on in like police departments, who's investigating who. And I mean, if you think about it, they kill so many cops in Mexico. Like people don't even really realize what all goes on in the cartels. Like not just Mexico, Brazil, you know, Jamaica, Ecuador, all the, you know, even in, you know, like Europe and the UK, they have, and the Yakuza, you know, Japan, China, stuff like that. So if you think about it, it's kind of like a cultural thing for gang culture to, you know, go after police officers when things aren't going right, which I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about because in America, you won't get away with that because we have the FBI, and the FBI will nail you almost, right away, public enemy number one type of thing. But I guess Mexico is just a lot different because they're so feared there that even the police don't even want anything to do with them. If they do, they're stuck for life. Like if you're on the cartel's payroll and you try to get out of it, from what I hear, it's like they either kill you or they'll, hurt your family to the point where you're like, okay, just keep paying me, do what you're gonna do, and like let's just keep it casual type of thing.
It's definitely like some kind of alternate moral framework that, you know, is it just doesn't seem logical to me. But I guess to them it must seem like not just logical but normal. I don't know. It's, he presents himself as like a victim of poverty, and then he's like a predator at the same time. And it's kind of hard to like wrap your head around that. Like, how can you see yourself as a victim and you're like saying stuff like, gonna go blow the effing shit up, stuff. I mean, it's crazy to me. But Olga had a question, or Maribel did. She wants to know if they're looking for conversation, these people that you reach out to.
Yeah, a lot of them are like when I interview some of them, they'll be like, "You're not gonna just disappear on me, are you? Like you're gonna still talk to me, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course. Like we can do follow-up interviews. I'll talk to you from time to time if you wanna call when you're bored, go ahead." Like I mainly go after California inmates, and that reason being phone calls are free. They passed something like 2 or 3 years ago where they can be on the phone from I think it's 8 a.m. to midnight. They don't shut the phones off during count time, so they can literally call me for like if I could, like 12 hours straight, 16 hours straight, something like that. And the phone calls aren't costing money. So but yeah, they a lot of them are lonely. I mean, if you think about it, you're stuck in a prison cell the rest of your life. Let's say you committed a crime when you were 17 or 18 and you're 40, 50 something years old now. They just want somebody to talk to. And the women are very um crazy. Like they're like a lot of women, like for instance, I'll reach out to two women in the same prison, right? And they'll find out that I'm gonna be interviewing one or the other, and they'll give me an ultimatum, like, if you don't stop talking to, say, Mary Smith, I'm gonna make sure you don't talk to any other woman in here. And I'm like, I'm not trying to romantically be involved with you. Like, I'm literally just trying to interview you. And a lot of the women are possessive in prison, which is not really hard to believe because I mean, women inmates are a lot harder to talk to and deal with than men. And yeah, a lot of them do hit me up for commissary, which I make it, known like I can't pay you for any interviews. I'm sorry. Like we can get your story out there, whatever the media got wrong, we can, kind of settle. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. I'm not biased. I don't give my opinions like I think you're guilty, I think you're innocent, I think you're full of shit, type of thing. So but yeah, I don't send money for commissary. That's one thing I don't do. I don't wanna spend my hard-earned money, feeding
I was
murder.
wondering how about that too. Like, I was imagining some like 80, $90 like collect call bill or something you're getting for talking to these guys. But that's kind of nice to know that it's actually free. I don't know. I think somebody's paying for it. Um,
Yeah, well, California is the only state that's free. Like, the most expensive state is, Indiana, right? It's like $3.50 or something like that for half an hour, which it does get expensive. And,
mhm.
but I should say I will put money on inmates' phones when we do interviews because sometimes it's cheaper for the inmate to call than it is for me to set up an account because they have, like, fees and tax and stuff like that as where the inmate phone account doesn't. So it's maybe, like, $3 to $7 cheaper sometimes. So I'll put, like, $10 on an inmate's phone account sometimes before we do an interview. I mean, it's anywhere from, like, 20 like, I'd say, like, 30 minutes minimum to, I guess, 4.5 hours, and 4.5 hours being, like, really rare, like Todd Colehep and Nico Jenkins type of thing, like spree killers and serial killers. Those interviews tend to be a lot longer than just random, cases.
I know the people on my channel would love you if you could get an interview with Chris Watts. You know, he's not a spree killer, but he killed his entire family. Um, and this happened in 2018, and like people are still crazy about that story. Um, but he's in Wisconsin, so it's probably got a pretty high price for a phone call. But I don't know that he's actually talking to anybody.
Yeah, I've tried
Uh,
Chris Watts, and I've never been able to get a hold of him. And I used to talk to one person in Wisconsin. She's actually transgender now. Her name was Eric Hainstock, but her name is Erica Hainstock now. She's a school shooter, and we were supposed to do an interview, and she kind of just fell off the map. I don't really know what happened to her, but I've been trying to get in with somebody that is in the same prison as Chris Watts, but I just don't know
have
anything about
you
profile.
tried? Do you know who Chris Coleman is? He's also another familicide person. He killed his
Chris
entire
Coleman.
family.
No, I'm gonna write that name down.
Coleman. He, I think, is in the same prison as Chris Watts, and his story is almost just as interesting. I think the big dynamics, the difference in dynamics of that case and Chris Watts is just the family relationships. There's a lot of drama with Chris Watts, like, you know, the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law were always fighting. So there's like this natural drama that makes it easy for people to get hooked on. And with Chris Coleman, his family was very like empathetic to the people who, you know, were murdered. And, you know, it's just like a whole different kind of story, but it's essentially the same. And it gets views on my channel sometimes when I talk about it. But I believe he's in the same prison.
Yeah, I just screenshot his information. It's interesting. I just looked him up. He's from Illinois. I know they do a lot of interstate compact inmates, and they send them to Wisconsin for whatever reason. I don't it's just a popular state for high profile people to go to be
I
like
think they have
nurses.
a whole like area just for like those high profile people, and that's why Chris Watts is basically in a cell by himself. I think he gets out like maybe once a day for like a few minutes. I can't imagine I could never do a crime just because I couldn't live like I couldn't live in a cell. I
Yeah, it's
don't know how.
basically living in your bathroom for the rest of your life. If
Oh God,
and maybe a
scary.
little bit smaller than that.
Oh man. Yeah. Have you tried contacting Jodi Arias?
I corresponded with her a little bit while she was in jail, but she quit writing me. She gets so much mail. I'm sure you can see why. I mean, there's a lot of hybristophiliacs, both men and women, that thinks she's the hottest chick
Mm.
ever. At one point in time, she was pretty, I guess. I didn't think she was, but there's a lot of people obsessed with her. And Scott Peterson, I know somebody just asked about Scott Peterson. I've never corresponded with him, but I actually have a friend. He's a doctor. His name is Dr. Bill Kimberlin. He has a book called Watch Me Die. He actually gets asked by death row inmates all over the U.S. to attend their executions, and he's watched many people get executed. I think he's some type of psychologist. I don't know what his exact title is, but he talks to Scott Peterson weekly on the phone and through letters, and I think he's even visited him in person too. And I swear one time I saw Scott Peterson and visiting because I was visiting Wesley Sherman, the Speed Freak killer. And I swear I saw Scott Peterson, and I asked him if that was him, and he's like, I don't even know what he looks like. And I'm like, pretty sure that's him, but I'm still not sure to this day if it was Scott Peterson or not.
Yeah, that case is also weird. And I know that there's like a lot of people who think he's actually innocent. And I just can't, like the guy was saying he was in France, you know, to his girlfriend, you know, and he's still in the same city and he played it off like really well. And it's like, well, if he lied about that, he can lie about anything. And I think over the years, his story has gotten better and better to make it look like he might be innocent. And I just don't believe it. I mean, it would take a lot for me to believe it was that he actually didn't do anything to his wife.
Yeah, I've
And
never gone down that rabbit hole just because there's so many different cases that I've become like just so wrapped up in. Like the West Memphis Three is probably the biggest one that because I'm very close with Terry Hobbs. I don't know if you're familiar with the West Memphis Three case, but that
I was
case,
actually just researching, I think it was Texas 3. Like, and then I noticed there's like other like these there's like a Tennessee 3, Missouri 3, a Texas 3, and I thought it was weird that um these things happen in threes sometimes. It's kind of weird, but I don't know very much about that case yet.
yeah, it's. I mean, it was huge when it happened, and it was even bigger when they were released from prison, on offer pleas, and they're supposed to be retesting the evidence again, and a lot of people think that the 3 teenage boys at the time were guilty. Then Terry Hobbs, he's one of the stepfathers of one of the victims. They believe that he's guilty. And then John Mark Byers, he was another one of the stepfathers. He's dead now. He died in a car crash some time ago. And that case, let me tell you, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, the West Memphis 3 case is a very fascinating case. They said it was like a satanic ritual. 3 little boys were slaughtered. They were 3 8-year-old boys. Their bikes were found in the Robin Hood Hills. It's a really crazy case. The Paradise Lost the Paradise Lost movies do a good example of showing how media is very biased, towards trials. They were basically found guilty before they were the trials were over, and I still have mixed emotions on that case, but I don't really talk about it publicly because no matter what you say, either side is going to attack you because they're very passionate about either supporting the West Memphis Three or supporting Terry Hobbs or Byers or whoever. It's a really sad case too. The crime scene photos are out there. In the first movie, they show the bodies being pulled out of the water, and they're 3 8-year-old boys. It's really sad.
So I'm just pulling up the Wikipedia page on the West Memphis 3, and because what you were saying kind of like sounded familiar, but I don't think I've seen this, and
Really,
I
that's
don't know.
crazy. Yeah,
Well,
it's a
there's the
huge case.
satanic ritual thing, but they're talking about the Arkansas Supreme Court, and Memphis is in Tennessee, right?
Yeah, well, there's Memphis, and then West Memphis is in Arkansas, then Memphis is in Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah.
Oh, see, that's where. Okay, that makes sense. But there was an actor or a book author, the Damon Wayne Eccles,
Yeah, he was
American.
he was supposedly the ringleader, right? He was 18 at the time. He was sentenced to death, and Jesse and Jason were sentenced to life sentences. But I've actually met Jason and Mara Leverett at a book signing, and that was kind of interesting. But yeah, Damien, he's kind of a weird guy. I mean, he was friends with like Johnny Depp. Like that's how they got out of prison, right? Is like all these Hollywood people were advocating for them to get released, like Johnny Depp, Meatloaf, the Dixie Chicks, Peter Jackson. Um, I'm sure there were other people that I'm blanking on right now, but yeah, that's a really good case if you want to go down a rabbit hole and all the
Yeah.
evidence is online too. I think it's called um I'm blanking on it, but if you Google West Memphis 3 case evidence, there's a website with literally everything that was in court and a lot of evidence that was suppressed too. Like Damien at one point told a psychologist that he was going to be as famous as Charles Manson and Ted Bundy one day. And like supposedly he stomped a dog to death, like a puppy to
Oh,
death, and all sorts of crazy things. You can read about them.
yeah. I am definitely going to look into this case. But I've only recently started like hearing this other side of some of these stories. Like this one, are they actually the killers or not? Just the other day, I had somebody on, and we were talking about the Delphi case, where the 2 girls got murdered, and he like told me this whole story about how the evidence was like suppressed. The jury didn't get to see everything, and like there's like videos of the guy getting screamed at by the detectives, and apparently his psychiatrist is a true crime fan who was like studying the case before they even met the supposed killer, and then it was a year before he confessed, And all those things kind of scream to me that, well, maybe there is actually something to that one. Maybe he really didn't do it because I forget what they call, well, false confessors. I think there's a actual name for false confessors, but I can't remember it. Where there's people who just confess to crimes because they want the fame, the notoriety, or sometimes they're coerced, and I think that might be a good example of some coercion.
Yeah, that actually just happened with the Charlie Kirk shooting. There was a pedophile that falsely confessed to it to be famous for whatever reason, and turned out it wasn't him, and, like, everybody was zoning in on him being the shooter. It happens a lot. I'm sure, Gary Oliva, he claims to be the, person who killed JonBenet Ramsey, and he's a paranoid schizophrenic, and a lot of people believe that he just is just, batshit crazy. I mean, he tried to strangle his mom. I think he went to prison for that, but it
which
happens a
which
lot.
guy? Which guy?
His name's Gary Oliva, Oliva, I think that's how you spell it.
Okay, yeah. There was that guy I think he was in the Philippines or something. That guy, I think he was communicating with a reporter for like a few years and gave a lot of details that nobody knew about, but the DNA didn't match. And so since the DNA didn't match, I've been wondering if they actually have an actual good DNA sample. Um, I mean, there's also this scenario that there was some guy who murdered a boy uh, somewhere close by, and then the detectives got on the news and said, "We know who it is. We're gonna come get you." And then the next day, the guy committed suicide, and he had like there was that confession letter that had some kind of an acronym at the end of it. Like it was signed. Nobody knew what that stood for, but they found a hat with those same initials on it, things like that. And he had been talking to his coworkers, saying he was coming into a large sum of money right around the same time that um, JonBenet Ramsey died. Um, I forget his name at the moment, but I talked about him a little bit. I think Olga was the one that told me about it, and I looked it up. It was pretty interesting. The it's crazy to me. Like, have you studied the Golden State Killer at all? Like, especially before they knew who it was.
Not really, no. I mean, no. I've reached out to him a few times, but I haven't really studied the case. I know a little bit about it, but I haven't really gone
Well,
on that
I,
rabbit
I
hole.
only bring it up because there was a lot of speculation when he was known as the East Area Rapist, and
The
what was the
original
other?
Night Stalker, yeah.
Yeah, the original Night Stalker. They didn't have message boards like they do now, but they had like people were talking with each other trying to figure out who he was, and they had all these weird theories, and some of them were really like good theories, and then when you find out who it actually was and what the actual reason was, it doesn't make sense. But I mean, that's what I think of that whenever I think of, like, when I start speculating on cases. It's like, how far off am I really? um, like there was the diamond knot that nobody could figure out. They thought it was a message. That guy that died was a judge, and his wife was an interior decorator. I can't remember their names, but there was like a huge, um, like they had this like huge like reasons why these people were targeted and murdered, and it's kind of scary how wrong it was. um, but I'm glad they finally caught the guy. It kind of boggles my mind that sometimes people can actually get away with this stuff for so long, you know, and just like there's pictures of that guy with like fish he's holding up. Hey, look at me, I'm fishing, and he just murdered like people. you know.
Right, and he was a police officer, at the time of some of them too, which is crazy in itself, to think about.
I think he was only a police officer for a couple of years, but what he learned helped him get away with the crimes. He intentionally went from different, jurisdictions and committed crimes so that they couldn't, talk to each other and capture him. But I don't think he was a police officer for very long.
Yeah, he was a police officer from it says May 1973 to 1976. But his crime started in 1974. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's scary to think that there was a serial killer, assaulting and killing people while in uniform. That's, really
mm,
crazy.
yeah. I think the scariest part of that case was when I heard that this town had like a meeting. All these people were getting together and like trying to protect themselves from the the killer that was on the loose, or the rapist that was on the loose. I think it was the East Area rapist, because some guy stood up and said that, well, if that happened to my wife, if he comes into my house, I'm going to kill him. And then like that guy got targeted, and then he started going from just like raping women to, tying up the guy, making them watch, and
Yep.
then killing them. It's crazy, like that escalation. And he started out with just breaking and entering, I think, and it just keeps escalating. I think the Night Stalker did the same thing. He started breaking into houses, and it escalated. It's weird how there's so many similarities, but every case is different. Every case has different circumstances that push people to that point, and that part of it, the why, is why I enjoy talking about true crime. I don't really like hearing about the how so much.
Yeah, I more so am interested in what led up to it myself. I don't really ever ask about like what did you do? Like, can you describe in detail? I'll just say what led up to you doing this, because obviously there's triggers for everybody, or whether it's mental health, drugs, alcohol, a combination of a little bit of this and that. It's always interesting to learn about what led up to somebody just snapping and taking a life or lives over the course of like 2-3 decades. It's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, I get it. There's a lot of interesting things you can find out. When you study psychology, you learn a lot about yourself, and then you can apply that to other people. And it makes, for me, it helps me make sense of things sometimes. But um, Maribel says that, I guess they were talking about the BTK killers in the chat. He is a. Have you read the book by Dr. Ramslin? She wrote a co-authored a biography about him, um, and that guy is really disturbing. He has this sexual fetish that, like, he would commit these crimes for the sexual part, and then he would cover it up with the murder. And I mean, it's really disturbing. And it's hard to
Yeah,
hear.
I actually have a few interviews on my show with Dr. Ramsden. She's an amazing woman.
Yeah, she's
Um,
been on my show too. Right before she had that big thing with she was Koberger's professor,
right,
and
right.
then she told me she wasn't going to be doing media stuff for a while. But I've
Yeah,
been meaning.
she kind of got overwhelmed with the media, just hounding her after all that came out.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, obviously she's a professor. She didn't train that guy to be a killer. you know,
Right.
you never know who's going to be a killer, especially if you do enough true crime. It's got to be obvious to most of you guys that are watching. Even you don't see these guys coming. They look normal, they act normal, or at least like the red flags, you overlook them somehow. So I mean, to me it makes sense that you wouldn't know that somebody's a killer, um, until you find out the until you get caught. But I kind of felt bad for her. She had a book coming out in August, um, and then that happened. But I was really surprised whenever I had her on the show and nobody knew who she was. She asked me not to mention Brian Koberger, and I didn't. But I still thought people would, and nobody noticed who she actually was. I told her what school. Told everyone what school she was a professor at and all that stuff, and it didn't click.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, she's pretty famous. She has, I mean, I have like, I don't know, 15, 20 signed books that she signed for me over the years, and she's an amazing woman. Her and Dr. Burgess both. I just met Dr. Burgess at CrimeCon like a month and a half, 2 months ago, and she's amazing too.
Yeah, I've been meaning to try to reach back out to her, see if she wants to talk some psychology. I don't have a psychology degree or anything, but I've read a lot of things, and every time the couple times that I talked to her before the show and then during the show, I just learned stuff that, I guess that's why people go to school for that, you know, tuition, I guess, from other people. When you read about something, you kind of learn about it in this kind of way. But if you got somebody who has experience, you get this much bigger picture, and it makes more sense. But I don't know. I enjoyed having her on the show. She talked about Dennis Rader, and she talked about Israel Keys a little bit too.
Right. She has a new book. I believe it's new. It's called The Serial Killer's Apprentice. And I believe that was on Netflix too. It was like trending for a while. I haven't watched it yet. But y- I'm sure she would
Yeah,
talk to you about that. That's about Wayne Henley and Dean Corll, the Houston mass murders, you know?
yeah, yeah. I'm trying to find out what the book she was that I know a couple of people on my show pre-ordered it, but she had a book on. It was a fictional book on the modus operandi of Israel Keys.
Yeah, I
Um,
know I can't keep up with her books. She has so many, and she has like 65, and like she's published, I know, over 1,000 articles or something
uh,
astonishing like that.
yeah, she has a very she's done a lot. She knows a lot, and I mean, it was kind of insane that people didn't realize who was on my show. I was really surprised that she even like responded. You know, like you said earlier, you have this like wish list of people you want to talk to. She was like my number one, and then she actually responded. I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, she's a real nice person.
Yeah, I love Dr. Ramsland. She's amazing.
And I don't know. I'm looking on Amazon. I don't see that particular book, but I do see the Serial Killer's Apprentice.
Yeah, I still need to get her to sign that for me, and I still need to watch I don't know if it's a movie or documentary, but I still need to see that nonetheless. Because that case is really interesting in itself.
Let's see. Maribel says, "The more I learn, the more I don't know, the more questions I have." That's kind of that's kind of how it is for I think everyone, especially I don't know. Lately with true crime for me, like I go down these rabbit holes. I don't really like calling them rabbit holes, but everyone does, so I kind of have to. But um, sometimes it gets really hard to like keep finding out more. Um, so I have to like take breaks, and it's been like the last couple of months, especially, I've had to do that. And I imagine you probably kind of gone through stuff like that too, where you have to take a break, um, not talk to killers for a while.
Yeah, I just did that recently. I went to CrimeCon, and I've been kind of slacking for the last like month, and I've been taking like many trips here and there. I'm going to be out of state for like 8 days coming up soon. So, but I'm still trying to release content like once a week, even if it's just a live or just an interview I've had, in my vault for a while.
Yeah, I've only recently started doing live streams, and um, I don't know. My lives have been getting. I think they're getting better, but like I don't know. Sometimes the views are up and down. Like today, it doesn't look like there's too many people in the chat, but I do appreciate both Maribel and Olga and Molly. They are almost always here for my lives. But yeah, I don't know. I wish I could do this full time. I just can't, and I think it's hard, especially this niche. Unless you're, I mean, I don't know. It I don't know. How long did it take you to find your like way whenever you started um, doing this?
Well, I've been podcasting for like almost 8 years. I was a part of another podcast that was pretty popular, but it's now defunct. And like I have a little over like 8,000 subscribers on YouTube, and it's taken me like over 5 years to get that. And like I have a video that has almost like 1 million views, and some videos don't even get 100 views. So it's kind of frustrating sometimes. I don't really know what the secret is to get videos to not go viral, but just get seen by so many different people. Because I have like Luis Bracamontes, I feel like that should have like a minimum of like 10, 15,000 views, just because it's so crazy. And I
Hmm.
get frustrated sometimes, but I'm just keep plugging away at it. I mean, it's just a constant practicing, just getting better, keep interviewing people, keep releasing good content, and eventually something's got to give.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was. Like I started out, I was using an AI voice, um, and then I was also like not showing my face. And then, I kept getting these comments about my AI voice. And I was also having this issue with pronunciation with the AI voices. And one day I was just like, okay, fine, I'm going to use my own voice because it actually was easier to edit my own voice than it was to go through and like have to spell out words in a phonetic way so that the AI can pronounce it right. Um, and then I don't know, I've just gradually gotten to the point where I'm actually talking to the camera. Um, but I think my content, the best stuff that I've had is on Chris Watts. And lately, I think maybe because there's so many other people covering Chris Watts, but my Chris Watts videos haven't even gotten very many views. And I don't know, I'm getting new subscribers almost every day. Like I'll get at least one or two new ones. Um, so I've been hoping that some of my other content will get noticed because I spend a lot of time working on it. I research things, and I'm not, like a complete pro. So I mean, I'm sure there's stuff I've gotten wrong, but I mean, it's up for we could talk about it. If I got something wrong, people, you can tell me, and I'll talk about it, and we'll fix it or something. I'm always trying to get better. Uh, I feel like I am.
Right, right. Yeah, likewise. I just was interviewed by Nate Eaton like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and overnight, or actually it was like 3 or 4 days, I got like almost 500 new subscribers, which was kind of cool. He's a really big reporter. He has I think it's like the East Idaho News or some channel like that. He has like a little over half a million subscribers on there.
Oh wow. Yeah. That would be cool. I think I've like my channel, like it started out like the first 1,000 was really hard to get, and then for like 9 months I got about maybe 300 more subscribers, and then it went from 1,300 to 5,000, and then another 6 or 9 months, and then it jumped up a little bit more, and right now I'm at like 16,000, um, and it's I don't know. I would rather have views, I think, than subscribers. If they would all
Yeah, me
just like
too.
tune in, it'd be great.
Yeah, yeah, he did do the Valo and Dave L case. Yeah, he did. That's what he's pretty well known for.
The guy that interviewed you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He releases content like 2 or 3 times a day. I don't know how he does it. I'm just like, damn, I struggle to release something once a week, but of course mine's more niche than like other people's, because I'm actually interviewing like criminals, and there's only so many to go around, and I wish I could release like 2 or 3 a week, but I'd be burning
Mm,
through all my interviews.
yeah, you could probably do pieces, do commentary on them after the interview's over, and make shorter clips, and then you could possibly release more content. But I know for me to make one video that's like 15 minutes long takes me like 2 weeks, and that's even when I got help to make the content. The research takes the longest, and then editing the audio is pretty hard. I try to get things as accurate as I can. I've got a video coming out on what is her name? Sunshine. That woman from, I always forget her last name, from the Crawford Pond murder that happened in New England. She's got a normal last name too, and I don't know why. I can't remember it. Sunshine Stewart. Her murder, she was a paddleboarder. She was just going out on the, they call it Crawford Pond, and then she doesn't come back. And that case could potentially be one of those cases where they got the wrong person. I've found that when I'm researching it, I get this kind of mixed signal on the person that they've got in custody for the crime. Some people say that he was very polite. He was, a good kid. He did all these things. And then you got this other group of people that's like, well, he was, hurting animals and he was doing this. And it's hard to figure out what's actually real and, what is just speculation that's turned into kind of, the supposed truth, which is, I don't know. It's a weird case. I can't imagine why a kid would kill this woman. She was like, in her 40s, it kind of just makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of senseless crime, so I know a lot of it doesn't really make sense, but it makes sense to the perpetrators at the time, I guess, as to why they do it or why they thought they were doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of half suspect that. Well, this is a 17-year-old kid too, by the way, and he's getting tried as an adult. And I don't know. Like I said, just like researching, trying to find the facts, like you get like two like pools of facts, and it's like, well, which one's right? And of course, nobody will email me back, so I can't get an actual like quote from anyone. But maybe you could, and you could, get in touch with somebody, find out what's actually going on, what he was actually like as a student, stuff like that.
What's the suspect's name again?
Let me see. I can't remember his name. There. I can probably play a minute or two of my video. I don't want it not to get views, but it should be coming out next weekend. Sunshine Stewart was 48, Crawford Pond in Union, Maine. Devin Young was 17 years old. He was charged with murder. They actually had a hearing, and he will be tried as an adult. But he was leading investigators around this place, like trying to help them supposedly find this person. But apparently at some point, the police realized that something was going on, and they eventually arrested him. So I don't know what he said while he was with the police or why his parents weren't with him while he was with the police either. Like, that's kind of weird too, right?
Yeah, that is strange. I just bookmarked the page. I'll try to reach out to him for sure. This was in this was in Maine. Okay. I don't think I ever spoke to anybody in Maine. I know there's a serial killer in Maine that I want to talk to. I'm totally blanking on his name. I know a woman that used to talk to him for the longest time.
Well, the interesting thing about this story is that whenever it happened, there was all these rumors about a New England serial killer. Somebody that was like, there was like maybe two serial killers, one going north and south, one going east and west. But I mean, there was this like huge death cluster in the area. And everyone thought this was another one of those cases from this unknown serial killer. But then they caught this boy instead. And I think there was a lot of podcasts that kind of went back and forth on whether it was a local person or if it was this new serial killer. So, I mean, it was kind of interesting. It's an interesting story. And I'm not sure anymore. I did really believe there was somebody killing people along those interstates, the main ones there, because there's just too many people that have died in a relatively short amount of time, and the bodies are being found like fairly close together. It's weird.
Right. Yeah. No, I do remember hearing that that the serial killer rumors, but I never really looked into that much. Honestly, I'm so busy talking to all these inmates that I don't really follow news stories unless people are convicted and I can actually maybe get an interview out of them because I spend so much time on just one offender, just trying to get one interview out of them. I just and I work so much too, and I have a social life, so I'm just like I try to balance everything. It's kind of hard sometimes.
I'm trying to see if I could find, like, it's not fully edited yet, but I think I can share some of it. Well, maybe not. I can't seem to find it. I've been trying to sort my files better since I've gotten so many cases now that I've covered. It's been kind of crazy. Like finding stuff is hard anymore. But let's see. Actually, I think I might have found it. No. Yeah, here we go. I don't know if it'll. I have to use Chrome for StreamYard, and all my saved passwords are on my other one, and it makes it hard to pull stuff up. So I'm trying to move it over to Chrome real quick, but I found it in my Google Drive. But I'll just play like the intro so you can.
Okay.
Dusk, each ripple. Crawford Pond relaxes at dusk, each ripple ironing itself flat until the surface becomes a single pane of pewter. On Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025, Sunshine Seward skims out from the Micmac Cove landing on a cobalt paddleboard, barefoot and balanced, her paddle dipping and pulling with silent care. She is at home here on the water. She is 48, bronzed by the season already, and she's still breathless by the natural beauty surrounding her. This is the casual joy of an after-work lap around her favorite spot. Welcome to Timeless Mysteries. Please like and subscribe. The red life vest cinched over her t-shirt glows against the darkening tree line. A headlamp dangles from her wrist like a charm she may or may not need. From the embers of a nearby campfire, the campground owner, Catherine Lunt, notices the silhouette gliding away and thinks nothing of it. Crawford Pond is no place for wicked things around her.
When we were standing at their site the first time,
So there's
we
just
were
some
looking
editing
around,
you do.
and Sunny looked at her friend and was like, "Do you see what I see?" And her friend said back to her, "Are you talking about the two?"
Let me skip ahead.
She sends another. Still no reply. By 10 p.m.,
I'm trying to
strangulation and blunt force trauma. Homicide. Union is a town of 2,400 people where true crime usually means a mistagged deer or a barroom scuffle. Homicide feels alien here. The shock travels outward as a soundless concussion. First to the fisherman from Tennant's Harbor who remembers On the mirror calm water around 7:45. They subpoena Sonny's cell phone metadata. They learn that Sonny's last outgoing call pinged the tower southeast of the island at 7:12 p.m. Was this an ordinary invisible breadcrumb or proof of something else? For now, he is only a helper. 2 weeks from now, police would also learn that Devin Young's phone stopped transmitting around 6:58 p.m. and did not light up again until nearly 9 the next morning when he texted a meme to a friend back in Frankfurt.
But yeah, that's kind of a little teaser for you guys. But I think it's a good story. Some of the details is kind of weird because most of it's going to be confidential. I mean, now they're going to be trying them as adult, but they like the part about the meme and stuff. Like, I can't like find out for sure if it was, it's like I find it on the internet and I can find several places that say it, but it's like how much of it is actually real and what is like somebody's speculation and that got turned into facts. And I don't know, I'm trying to fix it and make it sound more like this may not be all the truth because there's a lot of information still being withheld from the public. But it's still an interesting story. And I'm interested to find out if that boy actually did it or if they find somebody else who did it.
Yeah, I'll try to reach out to him and see if I can't work some magic and see if he'll talk. But I imagine he probably won't talk until after he's convicted, like most people. I'm sure he's being advised by his parents since he's so young and his attorneys.
Yeah, I just feel like there's like these supposed like teachers that say that he's a good kid, and then you hear these other stories about how he supposedly strangled someone with a swing, things like that, and it's like I don't know what is real and what isn't. I'm sure once there's a trial, we'll find out, how much of it is true. I mean, he could be on medication, but that doesn't mean he's like some, psychotic person on medication. I mean, I don't know. Like, how I'm sure, when you're investigating, it's kind of hard to find out like what level of, like you hear the certain facts and you try to like have to determine how much weight to give them and things like that. This case, there's just not a lot of specific information that can be verified 100%. I'd say it's like 50-50.
Right. Yeah, I mean, everything comes out at trial, so I don't think anything is ever missed. And if it is, then it comes up, years later. I mean, of course, people are wrongfully convicted all the time, but it's
What kind of statistic do you think that is? Like, how often? Is it still pretty rare or?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'd imagine. Actually, let me pull up some stats real quick. Because I actually went to a conference. Oh, I didn't go to the conference, but I met people outside of a conference, and I met one dude. He was the longest serving wrongfully convicted man in United States history. He did like 47 years and some change, of being wrongfully convicted. And I asked him, I'm like, what were you planning on doing when he got out of prison? He's like, I had a shank and I was planning on going to kill the guy that got me here. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Like he wanted to kill the guy that got him in prison because he was wrongfully convicted of killing somebody. And I'm pretty sure the guy that was responsible for the crime that he was in prison for either killed somebody or was killed by police or something like that, something crazy like that.
Something that just came to my mind. Have you ever saw the HBO series called The Night of?
I don't think so. No.
But this is okay. Well, if you haven't, watch it. It's actually really interesting. I don't want to give out any like spoilers, but I think it's a great story, and it's kind of related to what we were just talking about. Other than that, I can't give you any more information because it would be a big spoiler. So,
It says here that it says 2 to 10% of U.S. prisoners are innocent, with 2,666 exonerated since 1989. 69% of wrongful convictions are due to misidentification, which is kind of interesting. I mean, 2 to 10%, that's doesn't seem like a lot, but that's 2 to 10 in every 100 people, right? I mean, that's
Yeah, that
a
does
lot.
sound like a lot. But something that I've thought about when because I think I've read that same statistic and I've thought about it. Um, what if they are maybe innocent of that one particular crime, but they've committed like 5 others that are as serious? I mean, does that still count as a wrongful like conviction? I mean, should they not be in prison? I mean, I don't know. It's kind of weird to think about it that way. But most people who commit crimes commit more crimes. So unless this was their first crime and they didn't actually do it, then I don't know. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
Say that first part. You were breaking up for the first like 10, 15 seconds.
Oh, like for example, these people are wrongly convicted and they're sentenced to life in prison for a crime that maybe they didn't commit. But what if they committed other similar crimes that are just as serious and would give them just as much jail time had they been caught? I mean, do you think it's still, bad for our society to have these people wrongly in prison for a specific charge, even if they possibly had, committed other crimes?
Well, I guess it would depend if they had like, proof of them doing anything else. But look at Stephen Avery, for instance. Like he supposedly, was wrongfully convicted of a crime and then he killed somebody else, right? But I recently found a post on Instagram where he signed a photo of the victim that was killed that he supposedly was wrongfully convicted of, which is kind of interesting. He was making money off of it too, which is, I mean, kind of, going off something else, but that's kind of interesting in itself. And the wrongful conviction stats are, it's really sad and it's crazy. And like I met a few guys in Seattle and they're like, one dude, like I said, the dude that did 47 years and some change, I think he got like $2 or $3 million for 47 years down the drain, right? And I think he sued civilly and he got like 5-10 million, but still, like, imagine spending more than half your life in a bathroom, in like a prison cell for something you didn't commit and you can't prove it because you're poor, you can't afford an attorney or whatever, and it's heartbreaking, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I can see that. But I guess the thing that comes to my mind is why did the police arrest him in the first place if there wasn't some reason and probable cause, and I know that the court system is designed to be fair or to be as fair as possible, but sometimes these killers like they commit more than the crimes that they're caught for. And some of those people that are potentially innocent in prison, maybe they committed other real crimes too. I mean, I don't know. Like, I can't imagine being in prison and being innocent of, like, I don't think I would be able to live like knowing that I'm innocent and I'm in prison. Like, I don't know. It's hard to think about.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I could do it. I tell prisoners all the time, like, honestly, like, no offense, but I don't know how you're still alive. I couldn't do it. But then again, I'm not gonna go out and kill a bunch of people just because I feel like I had a bad childhood or whatever, which I didn't, but like I can't imagine being stuck in prison for the rest of my life, not doing anything. But some people are just too egotistical to kill themselves, especially like psychopaths and sociopaths.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's in our DNA to stay alive. So I think that's probably the biggest reason, people survive in prison is because they just can't cross that line. Like, but anyway, guys, do you have any other questions? I think I think I'm getting really tired. I feel like I'm rambling. So, you guys have any questions? I think we're going to wrap it up. I know somebody does. They're just not asking them. Let me see. I did write down a couple of questions. Let me see. I know we started out, we were going to talk about Luis. I actually had a bunch of questions that I thought I don't have it anymore. That's okay. They weren't that great. That's why I didn't ask them. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think I could talk to these guys. I mean, don't you feel like when you talk to them, isn't it kind of scary? Like, what if they came after you if they're in these big, like, organized crime places? I mean,
not really. I mean, there's only been one guy that I haven't been scared. It was just kind of annoying. This guy, he was supposedly a cartel hitman. His name is El Mano Negra, the Black Hand of Death. I think that's what that translates to. His name is Jose Martinez. He supposedly he was like freelance. I guess you can call it like freelance contracting, right, for the cartel. And he threatened to kill me like 5, 6, 7 times. And because when he was first arrested, I wrote him, like, I was the first person to write him. He's like, you can ask me whatever you want. And I'm like, how many people did you kill? Where did you kill? How did you kill? Did you kill anybody in Mexico? And he's like, I think you're a cop. So he sent me, like, the next letter, he sent me a drawing of me in a noose. And he said that's
oh
one of
my
the many ways that he killed people, and that was gonna be my fate, sometime soon. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, I was a little scared at the moment because I was like 22, 23. I'm almost 35 now. But
Mhm.
I mean, I don't really get scared a whole lot because I don't really write many people like him anymore. Like, I don't write people that are getting out. I don't write gangbangers. I don't write anybody that has ties to the outside world. Of course, prisoners have ties to the outside world, but they're mostly just like pen pals or people that are harmless. I mean, the worst that they're gonna do is like try to dox you or whatever. But I don't really get scared for the most part. I mean, it's just I've been doing it for so long. I don't make promises I can't keep. I don't offer like any money or anything that can come back on me to bite me in the ass.
Mhm. Yeah. I just can't imagine what you must have been thinking when you hear him, like, rambling on about these, violent crimes. Lewis, all these crimes that he just, like, I mean, he's talking about it like, it's a day at the shop, like, we did this, we did that, and I was just going to do this and do that. I would be like, I don't know. I don't know how I would be able to, like, keep talking, and keep a straight face and not, like, be a little bit terrified.
Right. I mean, I've just been doing it so long. I'm kind of used to it. I'm kind of numb to a lot of what they say, but I guess I just don't really take it to heart, and it just goes when I record it. It kind of goes one ear, not the other, kind of, in a sense. But yeah, just I guess I'm just used to it, as
Mhm.
weird as it sounds.
Yeah, I kinda get what you mean by the in one ear and out the other because, like, I have to do that too. Like, when I'm just writing about something, I kinda have to, like, think about it just long enough to think about it and then let it go, um, because there's a lot of killers out there. They've killed a lot of different ways, and each one is just as terrifying or more terrifying than the last one. I I don't know. Like, I've only been covering true crime exclusively since I think just over a year. I think I started in the summer of 2024. At the end of the summer, I converted my Timeless Mysteries was a historical mysteries, conspiracy theory, missing persons kind of channel, or that's what I started out. That's what I wanted to do. Um, but it's just slowly evolved, and I took down all of my old videos and just kept up the true crime. Um, but now that I've done true crime for like a year straight, it's like I want to do something else. I need to think about something that's not all like blood and knives and guns and stuff.
Right, right. Before we get out of here, I did want to say that since you're in Alaska, I did interview the Alaskan Avenger. He's out of prison now. I'm sure you've heard of him. He's probably like a legend in Alaska.
Yeah, I've actually before I started doing true crime, I had another channel that I tried to get monetized, but I couldn't get it monetized. Not because I didn't have enough subscribers, but because I was violating something that YouTube wouldn't tell me what it was. And then I quit true crime. This was like in 2022. And I'd only been doing it for a few months. And I did a story on the Alaskan Avenger, and I thought it was really interesting. And I just recently found out that he has a YouTube channel, and he talks about, this stuff all the time. He is out of prison. So I don't know if you want to maybe interview him again, but I think he's got a channel. I haven't looked it up or anything.
Yeah, I've reached out to him once when he got out of prison, but he gets so many messages. I don't even know if it was seen by him or not. But I've done like 3 or 4 interviews with him. He's a pretty interesting guy. Yeah, his name's Jason Vukovic. He
Mm-hmm.
basically, long story short, he went on the sex offender registry list and specifically crimes against kids. He attacked 3 people, 3 men. One of them pretty bad with a hammer. I think he got like 28 years in prison, and he was paroled. I don't know, like maybe 8 to 11 years early, something like that. He's out of prison now. He lives somewhere in Alaska.
Yeah, I haven't reached out to him, but I did find out that he didn't just like beat them up, but he like robbed them too, like
Yeah.
stole their trucks and stuff like that. Um, I don't know how he got the sex offender list and started like going off of the list, but I mean
Well, it's
there's
public. Like you can find them all online. Like any sex offenders, they have to register, and you can find the
well that
registries online. It's pretty easy, but I'm sure that's how he did it. I mean, even back then, like I would say back then, but it wasn't like super long ago. But yeah, you can go online and like see who's in your neighborhood, who's a sex offender and stuff like that, which is really good if you have kids.
Yeah, yeah, Maribel, he attacked a few people. He almost killed some guy, and then I think that's the guy with the hammer that you just mentioned.
Right, right.
But he was going off of the sex offender list. Like that's why they call him the Alaska Avenger, because he was trying to basically, that's right. Yeah, kind of an Alaskan Dexter. He was attacking people. But only bad people.
Yeah, yeah, it's a pretty interesting case.
All right, Andrew, I appreciate you being on the show. I was kind of hoping there'd be more people here, but everyone watches from like the East Coast, I think, or Australia. Most of my people on my channel do, so it's pretty late there. I know Olga is on the East Coast. I always forget where Molly and Maribel is. I want to say Maribel is in Australia, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
But
it's a little late here too, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you. Whenever you want to have me on again, just let me know if you ever want to collab with any inmate interviews. I can certainly try to get somebody on here as well too if you ever want to talk to a
oh
criminal.
yeah, definitely.
I have a spree killer that is open to talking to almost anybody with me. So
Okay, yeah, I would definitely be interested in that. That sounds interesting. I'd probably like to actually write out a real good list of questions before I talk to them, though. You know.
well, yeah, you got my email. Shoot me an email whenever you want, and we can stay in touch and collab whenever you want to for sure.
Okay, sounds great. All right, guys. Well, that's all for tonight. It was like a bonus live this week. I'm still planning to do one on Sunday. So I hope you guys have a good night. Thanks again, Andrew. And go check out his podcast, The Unforbidden Truth. You won't be disappointed. Some of it, like if you listen to the Luis
Bracamontes.
Bracamontes' interview, it is worth listening to, but it's kind of hard to hear. But I hope you guys go there, check it out, subscribe, and I guess that'll be it for today. You guys have a good night.